All right, welcome back to KK's Quilt Studio. This is Marilyn, and this is part 2 of setting up an edge to edge. So I have sewn out my first 2 rows, and have advanced my quilt top, and I sewed this row and this row, the second row. We had those grouped together. So this row is actually now up here at the top, and I'm ready to start quilting again. So I need to shift everything up and tell Q-Matic where I am now. So I located the design on my quilt top. It's the bottom part of the star, but like I said, I've rolled my quilt forward, so it's actually up here where my needle crosshairs are, my sew head. So in aligning up to this, now I can zoom in on um, the screen, but I need to see where I am on my quilt top. And if you're fighting with your machine to get it exactly placed, turn on your um, micro move on your machine. You'll get this screen, and again, you can use those arrows up, down, side, and change the increments to exactly place the needle of your machine over where you last quilted. Now, if you have a laser pointer, that always helps. Turn that on. If you need to remove your foot to get exact placement, what you want is to get lined up to that so that you can tell Q-Matic where you need to relocate to. All right. I am back on the words instead of the icons. So I'm going to realign the safe area. If you were looking at the icons, it's this third box in on the second row. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to set the guidelines. You'll see that put a vertical red line between right on my crosshairs, and I'm using the roller wheel to zoom in, and I am going to snap to point on my screen, and you'll see you might be a smidge off. Remember, quilts move, quilts shrink as you quilt them, and that's okay. We're going to get everything in perfect alignment, and I want to tell Q-Matic that I am right there on that point, okay? And I'll hit the check mark, and then we'll zoom back out. And I could have done a little better on that. Let's go back. You can do that. Set that guideline again, snap to point, zoom. If you need to zoom in more, it's okay. I'm going to tell it I am right on that point. So I want you to be there too. You could touch your screen. There. That's better. That's pretty close. Okay, zoom out. So now what that did, you said, well, it doesn't look different, but it does. You'll see that now my red box, my safe area, has moved down. It is no longer up here at the top. What is a box up here is that gray box, but that indicates that I have a design selected. If that goes away, you can see the safe area. It's moved down, so I've told my machine that that top row is up here, okay? But you said, but I quilted this row already. I know. That's where I differ from the Q-Matic or other instructors, because I'm going to unconnect those. I'm going to unlink, break that little chain. And this is going to be my non-sew alignment row now and forever. Amen. Okay, I'm never going to use this again because that was the top row that I cut. This row and this row are going to be the ones that I now quilt with. So actually, I can't get 2 rows into the area. If I'd made this design a little bit smaller, I could connect these rows up, and I would need to trim this row, and in that case, I would want to have a 4th row down here that remained as my virgin row. So for right now, all I'm going to be able to do is this 1 row, because here's my safe area, here's my safe area, and that last row extends outside the safe area. Okay, so as a how I have it set up now, I can only do 1 row. If your rows are not as tall in height as I had set these, then again, I could link those rows or group them together just like I did the first 2 rows and sew them out together. So that is how you go to reset your safe areas. Excuse me. Then when you get down to the bottom area, you're going to select it, and you're wherever your sew head or the end of your quilt lies, then you'll go back to the trim area and you'll use horizontal, the selected design, and you will trim away that bottom row. So if my quilt top ended somewhere about here, I don't need to invert this time because my black trimmed away area is down below, and I would say okay. So if my last pass, I could connect these or group these 2 together because that's my last row. I would also need to do my vertical side trims, but that's how I set up my edge to edge rows. 3 or 4 rows. The top is always, always, always my sacrificial top row, cropped, realignment, always realigned to my top row. Sew the 1 or 2 rows in between, and then my last and final row is my bottom cropped design. That is how I sew my edge to edges rather than, I zoom all the way out, rather than filling up this entire design. And I would, people get confused all the time. Well, which row am I on? All you ever need is this row right here. It just makes it less confusing. If you sew that row over and over again and realign it always to the top row, you're good to go. So I hope that helps. I hope that's an easier way of setting up an edge to edge and sewing out a quilt top quilt. It works for me. Thanks for joining me. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, click that button for notifications, and stop back by again as I advance on my Bernina quilting journey. Till then, happy quilting, everyone. Bye for now.